High-Performance Habits: How Extraordinary People Become That Way by Brendon Burchard. Picture a woman named Lynn for a moment. You probably know someone just like her. Maybe she's your colleague, your friend, or perhaps the person staring back at you from the mirror on certain mornings. On the surface, Lynn has it all figured out. She's brilliant, driven, and she's climbed the corporate ladder faster than anyone expected. 3 major promotions in just 5 years. People look at her with a mixture of admiration and envy, convinced she possesses some mysterious it factor. She's perched in a corner office 42 floors above the ocean, morning mist dancing against the windows. Across from her, separated by an imposing oak desk, sits her coach. This coach, a man who spent 20 years studying people exactly like Lynn, leans forward and asks a deceptively simple question: why are you so terrified to want more? Lynn physically recoils. The question hangs there between them, heavy and uninvited. Terrified, she begins, her professional mask firmly in place. Well, I wouldn't say that I'm... But he's already gently shaking his head. He sees through it. And somewhere deep down, she knows he does. The carefully maintained facade starts to crack. Finally, she nods, her hand unconsciously smoothing her hair, a nervous tell. Okay, she admits, her voice barely above a whisper now. Maybe you're right. I'm scared to reach for the next level. Why? He presses. Her answer is a confession whispered by countless successful people behind closed doors around the world. Because, she says, gazing out at the endless expanse of ocean, I'm barely keeping my head above water at this one. That single moment of raw honesty captures the silent crisis plaguing so many high achievers today. It's the modern success paradox. We hustle relentlessly, we achieve our goals, we check all the boxes, and then we slam into an invisible wall. We find ourselves drowning in commitments, secretly convinced that the very strategies that brought us here will completely destroy us if we dare climb any higher. But what if there's another path? What if becoming truly extraordinary isn't about hustling harder, but about building smarter habits? Today, we're diving into a book that's become an essential manual for some of the world's most accomplished people. It's called High-Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. This isn't your typical feel-good self-help book packed with vague platitudes and wishful thinking. It's built on one of the most comprehensive studies ever conducted on high performers, from Olympic champions and Fortune 50 executives to remarkable parents and students who consistently outshine their peers, not through burnout, but through greater joy, confidence, and purpose. By the time we finish today, you'll know the 6 specific, research-backed habits that can genuinely transform anyone's life. You won't just learn what they are. You'll understand exactly why they work and how to start weaving them into your own life immediately. This is a journey beyond natural talent, beyond sheer grit, and beyond the outdated rules of success. This is your blueprint for becoming extraordinary. Let's dive in. Every transformative journey starts with a question. For Brendon Burchard, that question arrived in a moment that nearly ended everything. At 19, reeling from a devastating breakup, he felt completely lost. Then one night, the car he was riding in flipped off a highway at 85 miles per hour. Miraculously, he survived, bloodied, shaken, but breathing. Standing there in the wreckage, he experienced what he calls mortality motivation. He realized that at the end of our lives, we all face a few fundamental questions. His were strikingly simple. Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? That brush with death sparked a 2-decade obsession. He became determined to find real answers, not inspirational poster quotes or empty motivation, but the actual, tangible practices that allow some people to live fully love deeply, and create meaningful impact, while so many others feel perpetually stuck. He started where most of us would. He devoured books, attended seminars, followed the conventional wisdom: work hard, follow your passion, focus on your strengths, practice gratitude. And honestly, it worked. For a while, he landed a solid job, built good friendships, created a decent life. But then he plateaued. For 6 or 7 years, life just sort of coasted. He was checking all the boxes, but he wasn't advancing. He felt that frustrating gap between being competent and being truly exceptional. Meanwhile, he noticed others who seemed to excel in any environment, on any team, in any industry. They weren't just lucky. They weren't necessarily smarter or more naturally gifted. They were fundamentally different. They were high performers. And their secret, he discovered, wasn't about who they were. It was about what they did, consistently, deliberately. So Brendon and his team at the High Performance Institute launched a massive research initiative. They surveyed, interviewed, and coached tens of thousands of people from nearly 200 countries. Their mission? Crack the code on what specific habits separate the highest performers, those who succeed beyond standard expectations, consistently, over the long haul, from everyone else. They didn't uncover dozens of habits, not even 100, just 6 deliberate habits that formed the common thread among the world's most extraordinary people. They call them the HP6, and these 6 habits are the foundation of this entire book. But before we explore them, there's something crucial to understand. These aren't automatic habits like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes. These are deliberate habits. They require conscious intention and awareness every single day. Think of them as a pilot's pre-flight checklist. Before every major flight, every significant project, every important conversation, every ambitious goal, high performers mentally run through this checklist. The 6 habits fall into 2 categories: personal habits, which shape your inner game, and social habits, which govern how you interact with the world around you. Let's start with the foundation, the 3 personal habits. This is where all high performance begins. The first personal habit is to seek clarity. Think about it. You can't hit a target you can't see. Most people drift through life with a fuzzy notion of what they want. They have generic goals like be happy or be successful, but they haven't actually defined what those words mean in concrete terms. High performers are completely different. They're obsessed with clarity. But it's not just about setting goals. That's beginner-level clarity. High performers go much deeper. They seek clarity in 4 specific areas, what Burchard calls the future 4. First, they're crystal clear on self. They constantly ask, who do I want to become? Not just, what are my strengths today, but what kind of person am I actively becoming? They might describe their future self with 3 aspirational words, like present, bold, and loving, then set phone alarms throughout the day to remind themselves of those words. They're actively sculpting their own character in real time. Second, they're clear on social. How do I want to interact with others? Before entering a meeting, a high performer thinks, what energy do I want to bring into this space? How can I make the people here feel genuinely valued? They're intentional about their presence. They don't just show up, they show up with purpose. Third, they're clear on skills. What capabilities do I need to develop to succeed in the future? They identify their primary field of interest, the domain they want to master, and then obsessively develop the necessary skills. They're not just general learners, they're strategic specialists. They essentially design their own life curriculum. As Brendon puts it, if you leave your growth to randomness, you'll always live in the land of mediocrity. And fourth, they're clear on service. How can I contribute? What value can I create? They focus less on what can I extract and more on what can I offer. This isn't about grand world-changing gestures daily. It's about maintaining a constant service mindset. How can I deliver excellence right now, in this moment, for this person? This relentless pursuit of clarity gives them a roadmap. It keeps them engaged, growing, and fulfilled. It's the crucial difference between being busy and being purposeful. Now, once you have clarity, once you know your destination, you need fuel for the journey. This brings us to the second personal habit: generate energy. This seems obvious, right? Of course you need energy, but most people treat energy as something that just happens to them. They wake up exhausted, mainline coffee, push through the day, and collapse at night. High performers don't just have energy, they actively generate it, like a power plant. They understand that energy is holistic, encompassing mental, emotional, and physical dimensions, and they have specific practices to manage all three. One of the most powerful yet simple practices is mastering transitions. Think about your typical day. It's essentially a series of transitions, from waking up to starting work, from one meeting to the next, from leaving the office to arriving home. Most of us carry the stress and tension from one activity directly into the next. We finish a frustrating phone call and immediately walk into the living room with that negative energy still clinging to us like smoke. High performers use these transition moments intentionally to reset. Brendon teaches a brilliantly simple technique: release tension, set intention. Between activities, take just 60 seconds, close your eyes, take several deep breaths. As you exhale, mentally repeat the word release. Release the tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your mind. Let go of whatever just happened. Then ask yourself, what's my intention for this next activity? What energy do I want to bring? How can I approach this with excellence and joy? Imagine practicing this just a few times daily. Before walking into your house after work, sitting in the driveway for a moment, you release the day's stress and set an intention to be present and loving. It's genuinely transformative. It's how you stop letting the day control you and start controlling your day. Another essential element of generating energy is what Burchard calls bring the joy. High performers don't wait around for happiness to find them. They treat joy as a choice, a discipline. They consciously look for things to get excited about. They anticipate positive outcomes. They actively practice gratitude. One simple morning practice is asking yourself 3 questions in the shower. 1. What can I get excited about today? 2. Who might I surprise with a thank you, a small gift, or a moment of genuine appreciation? 3. What potentially stressful situation might arise, and how can my best self handle it gracefully? These straightforward questions prime your mind for a positive, joyful, and resilient day. Energy isn't just about sleep, nutrition, and exercise, though those are critically important. It's about the emotional vibrancy you consciously choose to cultivate. So we have clarity as our map and energy as our fuel. But what actually makes us turn the key and start driving, especially when the journey gets long and difficult? That brings us to the third and final personal habit: raise necessity. This taps into one of the deepest drivers of human motivation. Necessity is that feeling that you must do something. Not should, not would like to, but absolutely must. It's the difference between I should probably go to the gym and I must go to the gym. When you have high necessity, you don't procrastinate, you don't make excuses. You simply get it done, because you have to. So where does this powerful force originate? Burchard identifies 4 forces of necessity, 2 internal and 2 external. The first internal force is your identity. High performers tie their actions directly to their identity. They hold themselves to high standards because it's simply who I am. An elite athlete doesn't just work out. They train like a champion because they are a champion. They don't hope to be excellent. They see excellence as woven into their very being. They constantly ask, is this action aligned with the best version of myself? The second internal force is obsession. Now, this word can sound negative, but here it means a deep, healthy, passionate curiosity. High performers are genuinely obsessed with their primary field of interest. They love learning about it, practicing it, mastering it. It's not merely a job, it's a craft. This intrinsic motivation pulls them forward, even without external rewards. Those are the internal forces. But we're also powerfully influenced by external forces. The first external force is duty, the profound truth that we'll often do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. A parent will leap out of bed at 3 in the morning for a sick child, regardless of their own exhaustion. That duty to the child creates a level of necessity that pure self-interest rarely matches. High performers deliberately tap into this. They ask themselves, who needs my A game right now? Thinking about the person counting on them, a client, a child, a teammate, raises the stakes and transforms high performance from optional to essential. The second external force is urgency, real deadlines with real consequences. Not the fake deadlines we impose on ourselves, but actual dates that matter. An Olympian doesn't get to choose when the games happen. That immovable deadline creates incredible focus that channels all their efforts. High performers are masterful at setting or committing to real, public deadlines. It creates positive pressure that drives action. When you combine these 4 forces, excellence as identity, deep craft obsession, duty to others, and real urgency, you create unstoppable momentum. You raise necessity. So there you have it, the 3 personal habits: seek clarity, generate energy, and raise necessity. This is the inner engine of a high performer. But we don't exist in isolation. To achieve anything meaningful, we must work with and through other people. This is where the 3 social habits come into play. The first social habit, building directly on the personal foundation, is to increase productivity. But this isn't about productivity in the traditional sense of merely getting more stuff done. Mindlessly checking off an endless list of busy work isn't high performance. High performers have mastered what Brendon calls prolific quality output, or PQO. This means they've identified the 1 or 2 outputs that truly matter in their field, and they concentrate the majority of their time and energy on producing those things at a high level of quality, consistently and prolifically. For a writer, the PQO might be finished books, not just endless blog posts. For a software developer, it's shipping clean, functional code. For a leader, it might be developing other leaders. The key is identifying your PQO and then ruthlessly protecting time to work on it. Burchard suggests that high performers aim to spend 60% of their work week on activities directly creating their PQO. Everything else, meetings, emails, administrative tasks, fits into the remaining 40%. This single shift in focus can completely revolutionize a career. To achieve this, high performers don't just stumble into their workday, they plan strategically. Brendon offers a simple but powerful framework. Chart your 5 moves. For any significant goal or dream, ask yourself, if there were only 5 major moves to make this happen, what would they be? Think of these 5 moves as 5 substantial projects. Then break each project into specific tasks with deadlines, and schedule those tasks into your calendar as protected time blocks. When Brendon decided he wanted to become a #1 New York Times best-selling author, he didn't just start writing randomly. He interviewed other best-selling authors and discovered there were 5 key moves. He then focused all his energy on executing those 5 moves sequentially. He ignored everything else. The result? He took his book from concept to #1 bestseller in just 60 days. That's the power of focusing on PQO and charting your 5 moves. It's about working strategically, not just frantically. It's about deliberate action, not scattered busyness. Now, once you're producing exceptional work, how do you get others to notice, support, and champion you? This leads us to the 5th habit, the second social habit: develop influence. Many people assume influence is about charisma, extroversion, or being a smooth talker, but the research reveals something different. Influence is a learnable skill built on a foundation of trust and respect. At its essence, influence is remarkably simple. It starts with asking. People often don't get what they want simply because they never ask for it. They're paralyzed by fear of rejection or judgment, but research shows we dramatically underestimate others' willingness to help. It's also about giving. High performers operate with a giving mindset. They enter situations looking for ways to add value, to help others, to serve, often with zero expectation of immediate return. This creates a reservoir of goodwill they can draw from later. But the deepest level of influence, the kind that genuinely transforms lives, comes from what Burchard calls the ultimate influence model. The most influential people in our lives do 3 specific things. First, they teach us how to think. They shape our perspective. They challenge our assumptions about ourselves, others, and the world. They don't just hand us answers. They give us better questions. A great leader doesn't just announce, "Here's the plan." They say, "Here's how I want us to think about this challenge." Second, they challenge us to grow. They see potential in us that we can't see in ourselves, and they call us toward a higher standard. They challenge our character, "You're better than that," our connections, "How can you treat that person with more respect?" and our contributions, "What more can you give?" They push us beyond our comfort zone, not to be cruel, but because they genuinely believe in what we can become. And third, they role model the way. They don't just talk about their values, they embody them. They demonstrate integrity, resilience, and excellence. Their example becomes their most powerful teaching. Think about the most influential person in your own life, a parent, teacher, or mentor. Didn't they do exactly these 3 things? They taught you how to think, challenged you to be better, and showed you the path through their own actions. That's the pathway to real, lasting influence. It's not manipulation, it's mentorship. This brings us to the final habit, the one that weaves all the others together and makes everything else possible. The 6th high-performance habit is to demonstrate courage. Courage, as the book explains, isn't the absence of fear. It's taking action despite fear, for a reason that matters deeply. It's a skill you can develop, a muscle you can strengthen. And often courage doesn't look like a grand, heroic gesture. Sometimes the most courageous act is simply taking the first small, uncertain step. Brendon shares a powerful story about a celebrity client named Sandra. She called him in the middle of the night, terrified, after posting a cryptic confession video on YouTube. The video was attracting hateful comments. Initially, he was annoyed, thinking it was just another celebrity seeking attention. Posting a video doesn't require courage, he thought to himself. But the next day at lunch, Sandra removed her sunglasses, revealing a black eye. The video wasn't about fame or attention. It was her first desperate step toward escaping an abusive relationship. That small, imperfect act was her cry for help. It marked the beginning of her reclaiming her life. It was genuine courage. High performers cultivate this kind of courage through several key practices. First, they honor the struggle. Our modern culture constantly sells us ease and comfort. We're told to find the hack, the shortcut, the easy button. But high performers understand that struggle isn't something to avoid. It's the forge where strength and character are shaped. They view challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth. They embrace what Carol Dweck would call a quote-quote mindset. They believe they can improve through effort, so they don't shy away from difficult things. They embrace the struggle. Second, they share their truth and ambitions. Many of us play small. We hide our real dreams because we're terrified of judgment. We worry that our success might make others uncomfortable. High performers have the courage to be authentic. They share who they are and what they want. This vulnerability doesn't weaken them. It empowers them. It attracts the right people, people who genuinely want to help. As one Olympian told Brendon, when you shout your dreams from the rooftops, sure, the village idiots might shout back why you can't succeed, but all the village leaders come over wanting to help you make it happen. And finally, the deepest wellspring of courage comes from finding someone to fight for. We've already explored this in Raising Necessity. Our courage multiplies exponentially when we're acting on behalf of someone else. Brendon shares his own story of being broke, living in his girlfriend's tiny apartment, unable to launch his writing career. He felt stuck, unmotivated, paralyzed by fear. Then one night he watched his girlfriend quietly slip into bed, trying not to disturb the piles of unpaid bills he'd stacked there. He saw her sleeping under the literal weight of his failures, and in that moment, something fundamental shifted inside him. He decided he would fight for her, for the life she deserved. It was no longer just about his dream. It was about their shared future. That love, that sense of duty, gave him the courage to face his fears, work with new intensity, and build the life they share today. Courage isn't some abstract virtue. It's a deeply human response to love and responsibility. So there they are, the 6 habits of high performance. Seek clarity, generate energy, raise necessity, increase productivity, develop influence, demonstrate courage. But there's one more crucial piece to this puzzle, a final ingredient that acts as a catalyst for all the others. After all his research, Burchard concluded that the number one factor correlating with high performance, more than anything else, is confidence. But not the arrogant, chest-thumping variety. It's a quiet, deep belief in your ability to figure things out. High performers are confident they can achieve their goals despite obstacles or resistance. This confidence isn't inborn, it's built. And they build it on 3 pillars. First, competence. The more you learn and practice a skill, the more competent you become. The more competent you are, the more confident you feel. This creates a competence-confidence loop. Each small win builds your belief in yourself. Second, congruence. This is the confidence that flows from living aligned with your best self. When you know your values and consistently act on them, when you're being the person you want to be, you develop profound self-trust. No clarity means no congruence, which means no confidence. And third, connection. Confidence also grows from our relationships with others. When you approach people with genuine curiosity, a desire to learn from them and serve them. Your social anxiety fades. Confidence comes less from projecting who you are, and more from connecting with who they are. These 6 habits, supercharged by deep and earned confidence, form the operating system of the world's most successful and fulfilled people. It's a system anyone can learn. It's a choice anyone can make. The journey isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully who you already are. It's about deciding to live with complete intention, to honor the struggle, and to show up every single day ready to live, to love, and to matter. As we step back and survey the landscape of high-performance habits, what becomes crystal clear is that this book isn't just a collection of helpful tips. It's a philosophy, a fundamental shift in how we approach our own potential. The core message echoing through every story and every data point is that extraordinariness isn't a genetic lottery. It's not something you're born with. It's the result of deliberate, conscious, and consistent effort. It's a choice. What I find most compelling about Brendon Burchard's work is its beautiful marriage of aspiration and practicality. It gives you permission to dream big, to want more from your life, but it doesn't abandon you there with empty motivation. It hands you the tools and the instruction manual and says, all right, let's get to work. The stories of Lynn, Arjun, and Sandra aren't just cautionary tales. They're mirrors reflecting our own fears, our own exhaustion, our own untapped courage. And the 6 habits are the pathways forward. The concept that stuck with me most powerfully is raising necessity. We live in a culture that constantly encourages us to follow our passion, which is wonderful advice. But passion ebbs and flows. It's fundamentally a feeling. Necessity, on the other hand, is a force. It's the reason you keep pushing forward when passion fades, when the work gets brutal, when you desperately want to quit. Tying your work to your identity, to a sense of duty for someone you love, that's what transforms a casual interest into a lifelong pursuit of mastery. So how can you start applying these ideas right now without feeling overwhelmed? Let's keep it simple. Here are 3 small actions you can take today, inspired by the book. First, master one transition. Pick a single moment in your day, maybe when you step out of your car at work, or when you walk through your front door at night. Before you cross that threshold, take just 30 seconds. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Mentally release the tension from whatever came before. Then set one clear intention for how you want to show up next. Just try it once and notice what happens. Second, identify your prolific quality output. Ask yourself, what's the single most important thing I need to create or produce to succeed in my role? Is it a report? A creative solution? A satisfied customer? Whatever it is, write it down. Then tomorrow, block out just one 30-minute session in your calendar dedicated solely to that output. Protect that time like it's the most important meeting of your day, because it is. Third, find someone to fight for. This doesn't need to be dramatic. Before starting your next important task, simply ask, who needs my A game on this? Picture that person clearly. Your child, your partner, your colleague, a customer. Do the work for them. Feel that shift from obligation to opportunity. These small steps, practiced consistently, are the seeds from which an extraordinary life grows. This book reminds us that the gap between who you are and who you want to be is bridged by your habits. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. That was a summary of High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. We've certainly covered the highlights today, but I'll be honest with you. A summary can only ever be a map. The real treasure is discovered on the journey itself. The real magic happens when you read the book personally. It's in those quiet moments when a particular story or a simple phrase connects with something deep inside you in a way you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book deserves your time and attention. If anything we've explored today has stirred something in you, I genuinely encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can truly change how you see yourself and what you're capable of achieving. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us know we're creating something worthwhile and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.